Latitude 0, longitude 0. Speaking from the center of the world, Ghana. This is where we are. This is the center of Pan-Africanism. Moving black people forward, uniting us on the same platform, telling the stories that concerns us. Boom! Zo TV Talking Points. Do not change the dial. Stay tuned. Boom! There is a sister in the house, man. You know, this is the first sister on Zo TV here since we came back into action.
Whoa!
Yes, this is the first sister. Yes. So, you know, we're not being gender biased and all that, as people think like, oh yeah, African males, they always want to be the man, blah, blah, blah. We try to balance it here, okay? There's nothing, that we didn't decide not to bring females on the platform. They just have not come around. And there's a special sister in the house. But before the sister introduces herself, it doesn't matter how many times you tell the African youth that it's about time for them to remain in Africa here and build Africa, they still don't listen. Everybody wants to go somewhere. They want to go to overseas. They haven't discovered Burkina Faso, they haven't discovered Mali, they haven't discovered Africa, but they want to go to overseas. They want to go to America, which is the first dream. And all of a sudden, we have a lot of diasporans coming back. They have everything in America, but now they say they want to come back to Africa. When Chinese come here, they stay, they don't leave. Lebanese come, they stay, they don't leave. Indians come, they stay, they don't leave. But Africans themselves do not want to be here. Why are you back to Africa?
Ooh, I am back. I have returned. I did my Sankofa, to return to myself.
Okay.
I'm back to return to myself.
You didn't return to yourself in America or Jamaica, or where do you originally come from?
So I'm American born.
Okay.
I was born in White Plains, New York, right? And my parents, I'm first born American. So both
First born American?
First
generation?
First generation. No
Okay.
one in my entire bloodline was ever born in America that I know of.
Okay.
Everyone was from Jamaica, Panama, Cuba, Nigeria, Ghana.
Yeah. Yeah.
No one was until my parents did exactly what you were describing that night that Ghanaians, the youth, are doing. They went to America for a better opportunity.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
they thought that it was going to be better for them.
Yeah.
It was a time where America was not as censored and was not as monitored, right? So the way my parents came in, a lot of times in Jamaica we have this word that we use called bandulu. Bandulu.
Okay.
Bandulu is when it's illegal.
All right.
Under the table.
Under the table. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So my parents were a part of the bandulu culture in that time.
Yeah.
So
working and getting paid under the table.
Or even their papers.
Okay.
Remember, we didn't have Homeland Security. We didn't have immigration the way that it was. So they were even making their own documents.
Yeah.
Doing things. You know, my father came from Warwick Hill in Jamaica, Rockfort. That's the heart of Kingston. That's where there was a lot of poverty, a lot of crime, but that's also where the Rastafari culture was up.
Okay.
That's where it was uprooted. That's where it started.
Okay.
And he used to play for Jamaica's under 21 cricket.
Yeah.
He was a cricketer.
But then he still moved from Jamaica.
But then he still, even after his experience playing cricket, he needed opportunity. So he left. He and his brother, they left and they went to White Plains, New York.
Okay.
And my mother, when she was young, she had an opportunity to come to America as an indentured servant.
All right.
Her story is very powerful, and that's why I honor her.
Okay.
An indentured servitude is like almost slavery.
Yeah.
You're not really getting paid fully, but it was an opportunity for her to get her papers
Okay.
and to come into the country. And
So are you supporting that Africans should go to America and
Well,
get their papers?
not at all, because what they thought was opportunity was actually a downfall. they lost a lot of their cultural connection.
Yeah.
In that their community, their neighbors. I lived in America for 10 years in my area, and I still don't know who my neighbor is. So I'm saying they were sold a dream that was a nightmare.
Yeah.
That was a nightmare. And they preserved their culture the best way they can, which is why I can sit here and talk to you, being first generation. I'm a can't chat patois. Why? Because I grew up in an environment where they held on to every ounce of whatever they thought that they needed to hold on to, and they passed it down to us in the best way that they can, right? But there was so much emotional and spiritual suffering in that. There was so much emotional and spiritual suffering. You know what I mean? Because of inflation, the economy changed. When you could have bought a home in the 80s for $80,000, that same house right now is for $500,000 US.
Whoa.
Okay?
So in a nutshell, it's not easy.
My mother worked 3 jobs to provide for us. 3.
But a lot of people have been saying this, and African youth don't still listen. They don't hear it, or they don't care, or you know. What else can be done for them to actually get this clear? You know, they said that place is freedom, you know, they are going there, they'll be free, there's everything over there, and you guys very, very free there, apart from maybe, you know, working and just getting the money, getting paid. What sort of freedom do you have?
You know, when we were in America, my son, he's 14, I don't know if you saw him, he has locks.
Yes.
You know, and when we were there, the European people would come and say, oh, she's so cute. She's a little, she's adorable. They thought he was a girl, right? He was stigmatized in school. We came to Ghana, even in a country like Ghana where, you know, locks is not always 100% revered or appreciated. However, in the communities where we are, in our intimate spaces, you know, I send my son to the shop. I haven't met the people, we're new. I go to the shop. You know what they say? You're Rasta boy's mom. Rasta boy, not, oh, he's a little girl. Oh, he's, right? They call him Rasta boy. They treat him like he's a child. They don't treat him like he's a threat that he needs to be tamed, right? They treat him like a child, right? So the experience that we're going to speak to, it's, what is freedom? It's relative.
It's relative.
What do you want to be free to do? Because I know a lot of people, and I have friends in the States that are Ghanaian, and they tell me they work more. They spend more time at work than in their home. The money that they're working for, they live in a lovely home, in a lovely neighborhood, they drive a nice car, but they spend less time in that home. The home is decorated. For who?
The home is decorated for who?
Who is the home decorated for?
So, when did you start thinking about Africa?
So I spoke about my dad, Aya. His name was Aya. Aya. I didn't even know it was an Adinkra symbol. When I came here, I found out my dad's name was an Adinkra symbol, Aya. Aya, he was a Pan-Africanist, a Rastafari, a man of Rastafari, a Garveyite. All right, his father was a Garveyite, so it was passed down. So I never really had to search for the love for Africa. When I look at pictures of myself, the first time I could walk, my father gave me this album, and it said Africa, Africa Unite. I was maybe 2 years old holding that. So Africa has been synonymous to my identity as long as I've known myself.
But you know, apart from just you knowing about Africa, but there was a point in your life or a time came that you were ready to come to the continent.
I was mature.
Because other times, you know, even though you think about Africa, but you were not ready. What inspired you now to say, you know what, I want to go and check it out?
Right.
What inspired you?
In 2017, my husband and I came to Ghana for the first time. However, I want to backtrack because my husband came in 1998 when he was my boyfriend.
Okay.
And in those days, he was calling me from the payphone. Because
I know that phone.
Yes, you know that phone? It would be like a collect call too. And then I would answer and he would be telling me, and I'm hearing the sounds because he came for a trade fair, right, for Ghana's independence march. And because of what was already the seed that my dad had already planted, his trip was like an extension for me. You know, and then he brought back all this fabric and these oils and this shea butter and all these gifts. And I knew in my heart that I wanted to come and experience, but I wasn't mentally ready. I wasn't mature.
Okay.
I didn't know myself enough.
Yeah.
You know, my self-love wasn't really fully, you know, put together. But in 2017, we came for my birthday. And let me tell you something. As soon as I stepped foot in Ghana, I didn't want to leave. When I went back to America, we came in November, we went back in December. I spent 3 weeks in the depression. I couldn't even move. My body felt like it was in shock. I couldn't even get up out my bed. I didn't want to talk to anyone on the phone because I felt so much anger. There were stages and phases of how I ended up living in Ghana.
Okay.
That first trip, I didn't realize that I had so much repressed emotions that were stuffed down.
Okay.
We experienced something in America called microaggression.
Microaggression.
Yes.
Okay.
Microaggression is when it's not blatant aggression. They don't look at you and curse you off. It's a small day-to-day experiences. So when you live in a microaggressive environment for a very long time, eventually it starts to affect your genetic makeup.
Okay.
You start to have pain in your chest, a ball in your throat, anxiety, depression. So I didn't realize that I was affected by racial trauma fully. I understood in the grand scheme. You hear about Trayvon Martin. You hear about the shootings. You hear, we revolt for a day and we get mad. We go back. We have to get up and go to work.
Yeah.
90% of corporations, and I don't want to quote because I heard this quote a while back, so I don't know the exact numbers.
Yeah.
But a large number of corporations are white-owned, European-owned.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are an employee in America, then who do you work for? Right?
Yeah.
So when we talk about microaggression, we talk about, I had a supervisor who once told me I couldn't wear this thing on my head. We talk about them telling you, they need you to stay a little longer, but not telling someone else. We talk about going to the grocery store and getting this look. They're staring at you, right? And then you look away and they think they don't see you. And then when your eyes make four, they go, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about this microaggressive environment that says you can be you, but you can't really be you because being you makes me uncomfortable.
Okay.
We're talking about cognitive dissonance where we're in an environment where we know bad things happened. We know there was slavery. We know there was the civil rights, but everything should be fine now. But then tomorrow we wake up and we hear that, Sandra Bland, I think her name was murdered in her house. We hear, and then we're kind of like put back into our place, right? We're reminded that it's yours, but it's not really yours because the place that you have here we need you to be quiet. That takes a toll on your mental health.
Okay.
It takes a toll on your sense of self.
Yeah.
So when I came to Ghana for the first time and I was able to go to bed and wake up and feel myself fully.
It's like a whole blanket.
It's like somebody took a blanket off. And I want to fast forward because I came in 2017, but in 2021, we had already known that we wanted to move here.
Yeah.
So we came with our family in the middle of COVID. Everyone thought we were crazy. They are like, what are you doing? Your kids aren't vaccinated. You're going to get sick. Think you're going to be in trouble. We came for 2 months and we lived in Kokrobiti.
Yeah.
We just wanted to have an experimentation.
Yeah.
And the very first night that we slept in Kokrobiti, it was about 3 o'clock in the morning. My son woke up and he was crying. And we went in the room. And he says, I can't sleep because I don't hear the ambulances. I'm only hearing crickets. And he said, I can't sleep. There's not enough noise.
Okay.
And I mean, every time I tell that story, I cry. Every time I tell that story, I cry. He said, I don't hear the police cars. I don't hear the ambulances. And I can't sleep.
Because he's so used to that. That's the sound. That's what he hears every day, every night in his life.
Yeah.
And the sound have changed over here.
Yeah.
To a natural sound.
A natural sound.
And then that is the first time of him hearing natural sound.
That was his first time hearing
natural sound. Yeah, and we have taken it for granted. We are actually even distorting the sound in Ghana.
Yeah.
We make sure that we disturb because we don't even see the value of the natural sound and the holistic nature of it, we don't see it. So you have to you have to come to experience it. You have to go there to know what you are talking about as well, because it's deep. When they say they can't hear the ambulances, it's very deep.
Yeah.
Wow. So all the children are here now?
Well, two. We have 3 children together. We have an older son as well, and so the 2 younger ones are here.
Mm-hmm.
But the oldest child, she came with us in 2019.
Okay.
And she was just here this summer, and she'll be coming for good in a few months.
All right.
So we kind of, I think it was the seed that was sown by my father as well. That is because my father used to say you can't plant corn and expect peas.
No.
It's not possible.
Yeah. So you're fulfilling your father's dream.
I am.
Of making sure that you've returned to Africa.
Yeah. I am.
And how do your friends think about you now, when you made a move to Africa? Do you have to explain yourself so many times, or did they now understand that, the lions are not killing them over there?
They know that the lions are not killing, and even deeper, after we did our citizenship, we had an influx of people contacting us for consultation, to know how we did it, to plan their first trip, to come and see and to experience. This work really feels, we had something, I don't know why I'm so emotional speaking to you, but in America, there was a great leader. Her name is Harriet Tubman.
Yes, I have a picture over here on the wall on the other side.
Harriet Tubman ran the Underground Railroad.
Yeah.
She carried people to freedom out of where they were in the South, because that's where it was really brutal, to go to the North. And she used the North Star to lead those people. And someone said to me that you all are the North Star. And that was like, it was overwhelming, because we're still, after so many years, still searching.
Yes.
We're still searching for freedom.
Yeah.
We're still.
What's your profession? What do you do?
So I am a mental health professional.
Okay.
I hold a master's degree in social work, a bachelor's degree in social work.
Okay.
With a concentration in spirituality and social work.
Yeah. So
connecting to the spirit of someone and their pain.
Okay.
And transforming that pain into purpose.
Before we get there, let's do a little bit of a mental stuff. So when you came to Ghana, how long did it take you before going to Cape Coast or Elmina Dungeon?
In about the third day of our time. We came on a tour.
Okay.
And a part of the tour was to go to Cape Coast.
Okay. And did you know anything about what Cape Coast represents in the history line?
So again, because my father was a teacher and a historian, a self-taught historian, these were things that he made me read this book, They Came Before Columbus by Ivan Van Sertima.
Okay.
Right? So I had already been historically connected to the information. And I also had an uncle who used to come to Ghana, my Uncle John. So I knew, but I did not know.
Okay.
I did not understand. There's this thing in science called epigenetics.
Yeah.
Right? It's the study of how your DNA can be transformed. We used to believe that once, for example, if you had diabetes in your family, we once thought that you would just forever have diabetes, right?
Yeah.
But the study of epigenetics has taught us that actually your environment transforms your DNA.
Okay.
Right? If DNA was a tangible thing, it can go from the earth to the moon 4 times.
Okay.
So it's coding, right?
Yeah.
But environment, we now understand that environment can change that coding. What you see, what you hear, what you eat. So I did not understand the impact that this traumatic ma'afa that it had on my own genetic makeup.
Okay, so let's not go far. Third day, when you were going into the how do you call it, when you go to Cape Coast, what images were playing in your head as to what you see there, or how you have certain things in your head like, I bet if I get there, I'll see this, I'll see that, I'll see this.
Right.
What images were playing in your head? And when you got there, did those images match up, or
no?
Okay,
it didn't. In my mind, I thought that it was going to be a very museum-driven experience.
Oh.
Because the only way that I have learned history is through reading and imagining and through museums, right? So I thought that, oh, it's gonna be like a museum. We're gonna go through the museum, right? I was still on the surface, and I want to say that in 2017, it was 3 years after my father's transition, I had just become alerted to African spirituality. It was new. I had just begun the process of learning to feed my ancestors and learning to connect with them. And it was new.
Yeah.
So I was still a little bit surface level, right? And I thought,
it was going to be a museum sort of.
Yes, a museum sort of setup. And I mean, I've seen the videos, I've heard people tell their stories, but I still just thought, we're gonna go through.
Yeah.
I was nervous because I didn't really know what to expect.
Yeah.
But I also, like you said, you have a perception in your mind, right? But when I got there,
it wasn't a museum.
Not at all.
What was it?
It was. When we went into the male dungeon.
Yeah.
Right, and they made us. The lights were off. Of course, there's no lighting.
Yeah.
And they made us, visualize everyone in a row. I almost felt like I could see them there mourning and screaming. But it wasn't until I went into the female dungeon where I almost felt like I could hear the ancestors whispering in my ears. Like they were whispering. But the day that we went to the dungeon, that night we stayed at One Africa, Sister Imacus's place.
Yeah.
And my husband is here. He's my witness. I was sleeping. We slept in the far off houses. We couldn't get a chalet because there were so many of us. We went into the far off apartment style houses.
Yeah.
And I was sleeping in the room and we had a mosquito net.
Yeah.
And I felt like I couldn't breathe. I thought I was having a panic attack in my sleep.
Yeah.
And I got up and like that. And when I woke up, there were these people dressed in full white surrounding the bed. And I tried to wake him up. I was shaking him because I got afraid.
Yeah.
Right? And he wouldn't wake up. He wouldn't even budge. And then I calmed down. I took a deep breath and I looked at them. And they all began to hug each other. And they started to laugh.
So you thought that was sort of, how do you call it, the ancestors' spirits that could have governed around you from coming from the dungeon to, how do you call it, to the guest house. The reason why I'm asking this question is the experiences of people in the dungeon for a lot of diasporans have never been discussed. Because usually when they go into the dungeons and they come out, they get very quiet and they sit in their bus and they don't talk again.
I was so muted.
Yes.
I didn't have the words.
Yeah, and so I like to know that sort of experience over there mentally, what it does to you versus now. Do you believe that this actually happened to humanity, or is a fairy tale, or because there's a lot of brothers and sisters out there who still believe that they are not Africans,
right?
And nothing of this nature happened,
right? And
so we are just like telling stories from nowhere, and we are just trying to let all black people come back to Africa to something that is not real,
right?
But people need to know that this Elmina dungeon, Cape Coast dungeon, they exist, and when you come to Africa, for you to have a sense of bonding with your ancestors, you need to visit that place.
Yes.
Now, the next question is mental health.
Mm-hmm.
When you go there and then you come out, and you are now in Ghana and bobbing and weaving with everybody, and you talk passionately about your experience of going to the dungeon and how you've returned back to motherland Africa, and the people you are talking to don't seem to have no idea of this story. How do you take it mentally and how do you navigate your ways? Because it's something very heavy that you've come to. This is your first time of knowing that your ancestors left the shores over here in this brutal manner. And you think that almost everybody here should know about the story.
I really thought so. But again, I kind of had an introduction to the trauma because being Jamaican, you know how many Jamaicans will say, even though it's there's like my husband was saying with the music, but there's still Jamaicans who are saying they're not African. They don't want anything to do with Africa. So even though I'm thinking, I'm going to Africa and people, they should all know this thing happened, I was not really too surprised, because imagine if you were taken away and brought to a foreign land and you can create something new for yourself and have remnants of what you left brought along with you, right?
Yeah.
That's one thing. But can you imagine being robbed of your culture and your identity in the land where you're from? I expected it to be worse. And when I came here and I went to the dungeon, I found out that they had just begun to have field trips in the schools here in Ghana to the dungeon, that they never used to do that.
No.
That their British curriculum never afforded them the opportunity to learn. And that's why when we talk about bridging the gap and this separatism, of course it's been arranged and skillfully organized for us to hate each other. Because someone, the mastermind at the top, created this idea. We will not teach them about who they are, and we will not teach them about who they are.
Yeah. Okay. So this disconnection that has exists between us on the continent and the diaspora is as a result that whatever happened to our distant cousins were not told to us.
Precisely.
And the history is hidden. Therefore, there's a lot of people working in Ghana who sees our people coming back and they don't understand.
They don't understand.
They don't understand because nobody has really put them in a place where they needed to be taught this. So other people get very angry as diasporans, walking around and thinking that people should know who they are.
You know
And
what?
if they don't feel like people can connect with them, then they also get disconnected and they go, oh, you know what? They don't even care about us. They don't even know anything. And there is a work to be done for us mentally to connect because of this history. The disconnection is very bad.
It's very bad.
Yes.
But we have to now, it's all about intention and purpose, right? So, and I tell people this, your journey and your experience here as a repat and a diasporan, it's going to be about your why. Because, for me, I came here as a Pan-African. I didn't come here as someone who had an expectation on my brothers and sisters here. I came here as a Pan-African. Yes, I had moments where it hurt. I had someone say to me, I went to a party and the person said to me, they knew I was not Ghanaian because I was dressed in African clothing. They knew that. The Ghanaians don't dress like that. That I because of what I was wearing. We're overzealous about wanting to identify and have our clothing, everything in our closet. That was my first goal. When I first got off the plane to move here, I said, I'm changing everything in my closet. I need everything to be high target. Right? And so when that person said that to me and they were Ghanaian, I felt like somebody crushed my heart. But then I understood. I understand what's really happening. It was a brutal savagery. And we talk about the transatlantic slave trade and the Ma'afa, but also the Arabs. It's been a very long time that we have dealt with oppression. It's been a very, very long time.
Let's come to Ghana.
Yes.
How is your 2017 to now? How many years now?
7 years.
7 years.
As a matter of fact, the day of my citizenship on Tuesday, November 19th, was a 7-year day exact that I stepped foot in Ghana. My first time in Ghana was November 19, 2017. And exactly 7 years later.
How would you sum the 7 years up? I know that there are days when you want to and there are some days you smile a lot.
I think I've dealt with it all. I've been land scam. I've experienced whatever they say happened. I've gone through all of it.
And you haven't given up.
I won't.
That's good.
I won't give up. It's a casualty. I call
because
these.
it happened to Chinese people here, but they don't run away.
They don't run away.
And it happened to Lebanese, they don't run away.
And the Turkish.
Yes. So,
and the Israeli.
So we can't run away.
Why would I run?
Yeah.
I don't want to
I
run.
Like that.
I don't want to run. I've dealt with it all, and I've dealt with so much goodness.
Yeah.
You know, my neighbors have all been so good to me.
Yeah.
You know, the communities where I've lived, the relationships that I've built, these experiences coming on a platform. So many Ghanaian YouTubers have invited me to share my story on their platform.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I in the beginning, you know, because it's a process.
Yeah.
I truly believe after this being here over a year now, that it would be nice if we had some kind of immersion project where you come and you go through like almost like a concentration camp, but not in the negative sense, in the positive, you know, where you learn a few things. But
actually, that is where I was taking my story to. My story about now going to the dungeon and experiencing all that. There has to be another form of orientation.
There should be an orientation.
Where we give to our diasporans to understand the bigger picture of the history and what has happened to us. So that a lot of people don't have bigger hopes walking around that every Tom, Dick and Harry know about that, you know, we're taken to Jamaica, we're taken to Trinidad, we're taken to Bahamas, we're taken to all other places. But if they do orientation, it actually will heal the wound a little bit and it will prepare people to be able to now walk in the space of Africa.
I agree.
Other than that, it's like, you know, come. They come and we give them citizenship and they don't know much about what has happened. They get to places, we are all humans. When you get to a place, and especially because you've been removed from the land for so long, so you are passionate about it and you want to talk about it. And here you are, when you are talking about it, people are going, are you talking about Ghana? Ghana is not like that, you know. I don't want to even be here, I want to be in America. How come you are talking about Ghana? But I think that there has to be another program where there's an orientation program. People are being initiated well into Ghana by healing some wounds. The history also need to be redefined again, because whatever story they tell at the dungeon, a lot of them are all distorted, and they make we Africans feel like we were so weak. We didn't do anything. All we did was to just carry our babies and give it to the white boys to take away. Most of the stories do not create any unity among us. They actually disunite us again.
Wow, that's powerful.
Yes,
that's powerful.
It disunites us. There is a placard at the front of the male dungeon that were written by the chiefs and queens of Ghana that they apologize for the slave trade that happened. If I have power, I would like to take that placard down.
I saw it. Yes. I've seen it several times.
It is very wrong, because when you go back into the history, you realize that people were not just sitting down to sell their children into slavery, or chiefs were not just sitting down. Something happened to us. And what happened to us was beyond that, but they wrote the story for us. So everything we did wrong, and they were right. And so our people use that as well to just say that, oh, this is what we did. But they have never bothered themselves to go deep into the storyline. And that also disunites us a lot.
It does.
Because people leave, they go back and they say, oh yeah, we went there, and they said the chief sold us.
I actually had a traveler on one of my tours who had that sentiment. Yep, she said, you know, I'm going to go back and I'm going to honor what we created in America, because, which I felt her pain, you know, because, you know,
I tell you, man, it's something that disturbs my mind. And actually, because of this, on the comment section, if you're a chief or a queen mother or something, write something over there. But actually, if you want to come onto the platform to actually debate with me, to tell you that most of the stories at Cape Coast and Mina Dungeon, 95% is all distorted. It is distorted. I want somebody to come to the platform and me and him to have. That is one of the reasons that is giving us, you know, all the effort we are doing to bring brothers and sisters home is not happening much, because the stories they give the people, as it's not a story that is of an African, it's the story of the enemy. he wrote that and make sure that that's the story we'll tell.
You know what the story did to me in my mind? It made the native people seem greedy because they tell you they sold mirrors. They gave them mirrors and liquor and to smoke. You know, and you're in the middle of grieving, crying, mourning, and you're hearing that, you know.
Yeah.
But if you know the real history,
yeah,
and you read for yourself,
yeah,
then you know the truth, you know?
Let me give you some common sense thing for us to think about here now, okay? So, Jamaica produces rum, right?
Yes.
So there was sugarcane plantation.
Yes.
The people that were taken from here to go to the Jamaican island,
yes,
who were working on the plantation, they were doing the same thing here and producing sugarcane alcohol. So when you go to Keta, when you go to southern part of Volta region, the way they traditionally make rum is actually done over here.
Okay.
Yes.
With the same way we do in Jamaica?
Yes.
With the sugar cane?
With the sugar cane.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, we have Appleton and...
Thank you. So that is how they do it over here. Now, if we did not have access to alcohol, how did our people arrive at the other end and make alcohol for themselves?
They learned it here.
They learned it here.
Yeah, they were doing it
So we were drinking alcohol before the white man came. So they didn't come and give us alcohol for us to give them our children. It's common sense. We produce alcohol here. We started making appetition long time ago before the guys got here. And so all of a sudden, they gave us alcohol and then we gave up everything. And then, you know,
I went to the door of no return. I've been to 5 countries. I went to Benin, Togo, Senegal, Gambia, and Ghana. But in Benin, we went to a plant, you know, a fort.
Yeah.
And they told the same story. They told the same story.
Yeah.
That they brought gunpowder, and that we were so amazed at the gunpowder, and that we were so afraid.
Yeah.
That, you know, that's the story that's being told. That's the story.
From 1st century up to 1471, there's no history book in Ghana that talks about Ghana. Our history starts from 1471 when Europeans came to Africa. Yes.
No.
Yes. Most of our books we read in the school system, they say by 1471 Europeans arrived in West Africa. Well, if there's 1471, there is 1371. If there's 1371, there's 1271. It goes down like that. Where is the history of our people before that? The things that we were doing before the arrival of the European, where is it? You get what I mean?
And can I say something?
Yeah.
In America, it's the same. In Jamaica, it's the same.
Story needs to change.
The story needs to change. In
Yes.
America, they start our history with slavery. So then when we create programs in the community and we're teaching about Queen Nzinga, Ya Santewa, Nani of the Maroons, and all these greats that came long before, you know what I mean? It's like, what?
Yeah. So this is where we are now because the story has been distorted. Before I finish, Elmina Dungeon is the oldest castle or oldest dungeon on the whole West African coastline. There is no house, and I want everybody to listen. There's no house in Elmina that is older than the dungeon.
What?
Yes. There is no house older than the enemy's house.
They destroyed everything.
Thank you.
They destroyed everything.
Thank you.
You know,
Yeah.
they destroyed it all.
So, please, what's your new path with the mental health that you have? What are you going to do to Ghana?
Well, you know, when I came here initially, I have a practice that is a virtual practice. I operate a virtual sanctuary called Movements for Change, which I feel a way because there's a political party called Movement for Change without the S.
Yes.
And I started mine many, many moons ago. So when I came and I saw it, I said, oh, did he see my work online? But it's okay. But Movements for Change is the work that I do. And, you know, since I've been here, I have been getting acquainted and affiliated and doing a lot of public speaking and.
But do you think we need some mental health experts in Ghana?
Absolutely. So that's what I'm gonna get to. Yeah. So doing a lot of the public speaking, going out in the communities, doing talking about healing the mind, trauma, what happens in our childhood. I have had so many Ghanaians come up to me privately.
Wow.
Privately. I spoke at the Sankofa Wellness Fair in May. Ocheyame Kwame and a group of doctors.
Yeah.
I was one of the keynote speakers.
Okay.
The people were lined up. Wow. And that made me so emotional because I thought that I wasn't going to be received with my message. Yeah. I'm telling people to reflect on what happened in your childhood and heal so that you can live a better life in your adult. Yeah. This culture is about honor and respecting your parents. Yeah. And here I am saying, identify the parts of your experience that taught you to hate yourself. If we experience colonization, brutal colonization by the British, right? What do you think was passed down in how we parent? Yeah. Beating a child. Mm-hmm. When you have a child who's born on the spectrum with autism, retardation, believing that child is a devil. Yeah. Those are things that are not of us spiritually. Yeah. And in my work, I teach about giving attention to that and healing it. Yeah. I thought I was not going to be received. Yeah. These people were lined up.
Okay, so we have a lot of.
So there's work that needs to be done. And people are more open than we believe. Because for one man came to me and said, I don't know what else to do. I just want to hit the child. Oh God. What do I do? And I sat with that man and had a conversation at that event. You understand? Yeah. So we don't have the tools. We don't know. If you don't know, you can't do any better. Yeah. So we don't want to judge. And someone said to me, Sister Keisha, the thing about you that made you very well received is you don't judge. You come with a very compassionate spirit. And so I don't know, to answer your question, I'm not really sure what's ahead. Yeah. But I know it's going to be something good.
Yeah, but because you have some sort of training to it and you identify a problem, I'm very sure that you'll be the best person to create a solution to it.
Yes, and I've been saying to people, if you see me on the platform and you want to reach out, please, because I'm here and I'm ready.
Which is very good because, the return of our sisters and brothers into our country or the continent has to also positively impact. So anything that they are carrying that they can come and help solve the continental problem, it is good. So people are just not returning. They are returning with some positive stuff to come and add to the continent.
Zo TV Talking Points. Do not change the dial. Stay tuned.